Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Tilson Live. It is Tuesday. It is 2 o'clock. We're coming at you live on YouTube, live on Facebook, as we do each and every single week to talk about all things building a custom home on your land. I'm Eric Allard, part of the fourth generation of the Tilson family, joined as I am each and every single week by the great, the marvelous, wonderful Dawn Dantzler, Tilson's Vice President of Marketing and Customer Experience. Good afternoon, Dawn.
Hey, Eric. How's it going?
It's a wonderful Tuesday. It's a wonderful Tilson Live. We are here at 2 o'clock. And of course, live on YouTube, on Facebook. So folks, as usual, we want you to jump into the chat. Tell us where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process you're in. We want to hear from you. We want to hear any questions you may have about the design process, about just building on your land in general. How's it different from buying a used home or a home in a production subdivision? What are the things that are going to be necessary? What's a culvert? What's a septic system? What's a water well? How does all that work? What's a tap fee? Is that included? All the different things that need to happen in order to develop a piece of land to get it ready to build a custom home on it. Maybe you're already started the process and you're along this journey. You've decided which floor plan you need and making the changes to that with one of our sales consultants. Or maybe you've already cast your lot with us and you're headed down the road and maybe we're doing a site evaluation, or maybe you're doing your color selections. You're prepping for those. We want to hear from you on that. Maybe you're under construction. We want to hear what's happening there. Maybe you've done this. You kick back. You're enjoying a lovely, what is now September. It's a fall day. Mm-hmm. We had 80-degree weather. It was nice briefly. It's over, of course. False fall has come and is gone. But anyway, jump into the chat, folks. Tell us where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process you are in. We want to hear from you. And while you're doing that, Dawn's going to tell us what in the world we're talking. One we haven't done in a long time. We
haven't done it in a while.
What are we talking about today?
So today we're going to talk about how to read a floor plan. This is something we do every once in a while. Not as often, but it's just something we do like to talk through every once in a while. So everybody kind of knows when you're getting into that plan review process, or you're trying to decipher what things are online. You kind of explain what some of the little abbreviations and things that you're going to see mean. So it's good guide of what to look at when you're getting into your plan review and when you're drawing up your home plans.
Yeah, and most of the things we're talking about are very, they're pretty vanilla, but they're also very universal, regardless of kind of where you're building or who you're hiring to build. 90% of what we're going to be showing you is pretty universal. The way home building works and the way architectural plans are done, the way dimensions are called out. So, and there's some variation as you kind of go on this journey, this evolution of design all the way through a true construction set of plans. So we're excited about that. I know it's hard to get excited, some people, but it really is kind of exciting to see. Yeah. And you can flex on your friends at the next dinner party, whenever the floor plans come up, because it always happens. We know you should go to dinner parties to talk about Tilson. And we want you to be able to flex that knowledge, thwart that knowledge upon your fellow friends there and show them, no. Let me show you what size your cabinets are for real. This is how it is. But first, jump into the chat, folks. Tell us where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process you are in. We want to hear from you. Obviously, we expect this will spur some questions. We want to talk a little bit about how dimensions are, how we arrive at these dimensions. Talk about how square footages are arrived at. Not only overall square footages, but actual room dimensions for like your floor coverings and different things like that. We use all these things to calculate. In our plans, what we're doing at Tilson, we're doing the plans. Yeah, we redline them and we write on them, but ultimately they get put in a 3D modeling software, and it actually helps us produce a significant portion of our material list or on job takeoff. So things like how many doorknobs we're going to need, which ones are privacy, which ones are passage, which ones are dummies, how many light fixtures we're going to need, how many lineal feet of like baseboard, how many pieces of sheetrock we're going to need, pieces of OSB, lengths of 2x6, 2x8, 2x10, 2x12. All of those things are actually calculated based on the plan, which is why it's so important that decisions are made early in the process, and then we don't make a bunch of changes, because we populate all of our purchase orders literally from the plans that you sign. So, jump into the chat, folks. Tell us where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process you're in. We are live on Facebook, live on YouTube, because we're not scared. We don't have to pre-record this stuff. We should be, but we're not. Should be, but we're not. But anyway, I see we are up on YouTube. Sweet Denise is over there.
Yeah. Denise is coming in from Pearland, which we usually see her on Facebook.
All right.
Building a Canyon D in Chapel Hill. Last minute change order for electrical, and we are almost ready for spray foam.
Very cool. That's awesome. Just in time for fall. All right. So, folks, do jump into the chat. We want to hear from you, where you're watching from, where you're building, part of the process you're in, and we want to hear any questions you might have. It can be related to plans. We figured you might have some of those, but also it can be related to anything you want to talk about. You want to ask about financing, you want to ask about design, you want to ask about construction, you want to ask about customer care, you want to ask about site preparation, things that have to be done on your site to get it ready and get it going. What county, this county's saying this, but your septic guy's saying that. Who's right? What do I need to know? What questions do I need to ask? How does homestead work? How do ag exemptions work? All that.
Oh, we're getting deep.
Oh yeah, we can talk about all the fun stuff. All the fun stuff. So, did anybody get any dove yesterday? It was opening day of dove season in some zones, not all zones. If you took illegal dove, don't tell us that. But we're not snitches. But we're still. It's just best not to put it out there.
We're not snitches, but we're live on the internet. So
that's right. That's right. We're just make sure you call out what zone you were in Texas. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Look it up. Okay. Let's jump into.
We also talk about football.
We can talk about college football. You bet. We can talk about that. Well, we can talk about football. We can. All right, folks. Here we go. We're going to talk how to read a floor plan. Well, how many? Let's see.
Oh, Denise is saying that Facebook changed the view, and we're very, very small. Huh? Oh, we have to look
I have
into
been
that.
looking to slim down. It is one of my goals. So thank you, Mark Zuckerberg, for helping me out with that.
There we go.
All right. If guys, you're having issues on Facebook, please let us know. We'd like to hear about that too. But or you can also jump over to YouTube. We're live on our YouTube channel as well. And YouTube definitely has their how to view videos stuff squared away. No problem.
Yeah, YouTube knows what's going on. Okay. So this is like the one topic in which I will put this notification up. Everything else, we don't gate anything. We let you guys know whatever you like. But this part of the presentation, I am going to say all plans and materials that you're going to see in this presentation are copyright to Tilson Homes. All rights are reserved because in these versions of the floor plans, what we are showing you, if you stopped and screen grabbed them, you could actually build our home from these plans. That's why we don't usually show stuff in this level of detail. So this is going to be the one and only time that I'm going to say, folks, don't steal my stuff. Okay.
It would be difficult for you, but you could do it. It's not going to look right, but
yeah. And we did pick a retired plan for that very reason, but just don't take my stuff. Okay, so you're going to see a variety of versions of floor plans, kind of like Eric was alluding to. As you go through the process, you're going to see different versions of our floor plans, and the way we show things and even measure things is going to be a little different from version to version. So the first one that I'm sure all of y'all have seen is the online version of our plans. This is also going to be very similar to the version that you'd see if you walked into one of our design centers and we handed you the very pretty brochure that has the elevations and the floor plans on it. It's very simple. We call it the marketing version of the floor plan. And it's really kind of a simplified view to show you everything that's basic, all the basics about the plan. So we're going to have labeled all the rooms. We're going to give you the measurements on them. And we're going to include call outs of any special features that we want you to know about when you're considering the plan. So that's when I'm talking about the special call outs, things like in this master bedroom has a step ceiling in it. That's why we've got kind of a call out there. That's what those dotted lines that you see in the ceiling are indicating. So kind of explaining that, it's got a walk-in closet. So we're pointing that one out to you. Different things like that. Corner sec, anywhere we've got raised ceilings, eating bars, stuff like that. We highlight those to make it easy for you to identify those pieces. And then the dimensions that you are seeing when you're looking at an online floor plan and the kind of that simplified floor plan is actually starts at the exterior wall. So we are measuring those dimensions.
Interior. This is
interior?
Yeah, sheetrock to sheetrock. Sorry.
Sheetrock to sheetrock. Okay.
Yeah, this is sheetrock to sheetrock. So that 15.4 by 14.11 is your sheetrock to sheetrock dimension. That will come into play differently on the construction set of plans. But
see, I got myself turned around. All right.
I have bad notes.
All right. So sheetrock to sheetrock, and that's what you're seeing. And this, for anybody who's wondering, this was a retired plan that we had, the Palacios.
Yep.
But yeah, calling out the various things and showing you.
And we're not cluttering up like your bathrooms, your kitchen, right?
Yeah,
Like
we're not showing you your return air vents. We're not showing,
Yeah.
all the like little minute details. We're really just giving you the overall feel for what
Yeah.
is in this home. So
Even
we are going to show
dimension-wise.
you, this is where you put the freezer, this is where you put the washer
Right.
dryer, but we're not going to call out, hey, this is where your HVAC lives.
Something also to talk about here is what's dotted is not included. Something to think about. I don't think we've ever point that out.
No, we haven't.
But like your range, for example, you see where it's done in solid black lines, your sink, that's all included. The exception would be the dishwasher. The reason it's dotted is because it's under the...
Yeah, it's in the cabinet.
Yeah, it's in the cabinet, but like your refrigerator wouldn't be included, washer, dryer, freezer. So we go out of our way to kind of make sure to be as transparent as possible. Anyway, but yeah, kind of a watered down version of a floor plan to keep it from getting cluttered, and you can still make sense of it when you're starting your journey and dipping your toes in.
Yep. All right. Yeah, and that's I forgot that's what
like we said.
Like we said. So you got your call outs in there telling you all the special features.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So exterior walls. This is going to be true on any version of the floor plan that you're seeing, but there is a little bit of a code to what those lines look like. So if you're just seeing solid black line, that's going to indicate on our plans that that's going to be the hardy siding of some type. Could be the vertical siding, could be the board and bat, but this is indicating that it is siding only. That's going to be on that exterior wall. Down below where you kind of see the hash mark happening, there's that little diagonal mark, that's indicating full brick. So that means from the bottom all the way to the top of that exterior wall is going to be brick. And that is actually placed, there's actually an extra ledge that we place it on because we are using full-size masonry for that. The one below there where you're seeing the like little squigglies, that is full stone. So stone is differentiated from brick in this manner. And again, that's going to be, that wall is full stone on the exterior. So from the bottom to the top, it's going to be stone on that. And then beneath it is how we indicate a masonry wainscot. So you're seeing a straight line on that edge. And what that means is that at a certain point on the exterior wall, we're going to switch over to, we're going to start with brick at the bottom, brick or stone at the bottom, masonry. And at some point on that wall, we're going to switch over to the hardy siding, or it could also be stucco in that. But this is indicating a wainscoting. The drafting tells me that the lines are closer if it's brick versus stone. But I have yet to be able to decipher that on my own. So
maybe on a zoomed in
yes, you have to be like
$7,000 Revit machine.
It's one of those things. They're probably the only people who notice. So I would say you can look at what the exterior is and tell, but they do say it is slightly different. And the water table material is also going to differ. So consult the exterior elevation just to confirm exactly what that is. But that is indicating that we're not doing a full wall of masonry.
Cool.
And then your porch post, same thing, a little bit of code to how those porches are drawn. We're kind of indicating to you what type of material we're using. So that top left one where you see the solid black square and then an outline kind of around it, that's going to be a composite post. So that's where we're putting some type of siding type material around your post. And then the one next to it is a composite post with a masonry base. So that's indicating that at some point on that post, we're going to switch from masonry to just being the composite. At the bottom left, where you're seeing that kind of a smaller square, that is a rough sawn wood post. So you're going to have no exterior line. So that's indicating that it is that wood post. And then the one next to that is a rough sawn wood post with some type of masonry base to it. All right. So that's everything that you would kind of see online. When you come into one of our locations, we're going to pull, your consultant's going to pull out what we call the work copy. And I think that is a more universal term. But this one just kind of adds in a little bit more detail to it. This is not something that we're going to send home with you for further review, because again, if you like get to the right person, they could actually start building the home off of these. So they are copyrighted materials. But this does give you a little bit more detail about what's going on in the floor plan, just the stuff that we weren't going to clutter it up with online. So that's going to include your flooring schedule, the veneer percentages, so how much of this is masonry, more detailed measurements. There's going to be an electrical layout on the floor plan. We're going to show you the elevations of all of the sides, not just the front, like we tend to do on our website. And we're also going to have layout details for cabinetry and other elements. So your consultant will actually mark up any changes that you want to make on these plans, usually in red. And that's what we call the redlined work copy when they start doing that. So a little bit more detail. So that flooring schedule that I was talking about, this just breaks out room by room exactly what that flooring material is that's included in the plan, and then also tells you the footage for each of those areas. So how much square footage is that material? Because like Eric was saying, we ultimately use these so that we can order all of the materials for your home. And it's going to be grouped by the type of flooring. Is how you're going to see that typically done. So everywhere that's carpet is going to be listed together. Everything that's ceramic tile is going to be listed together. If you change that up later in the process and you say, I want wood or I want LVP, we're going to separate those out as well. This second thing that you're going to see on there is kind of an area chart. And what we're telling you in this is the square footages of the slab. And we're breaking that out by heated and unheated area. So that first floor livable area that you're seeing there, that's the actual space within the home that is heated and cooled. It's the part within your HVAC.
Very antiquated. They call it heated and unheated, but trust me, you're getting
those are the areas that we're cooling, which you care a lot more about in Texas. But yeah, that's your controlled, your climate controlled space. And then we're also going to break out your unheated area for this home. We have that front porch slab area as well as the rear porch slab area. If it were one that had a garage, your garages would also be included in that calculation, line items out separately. And so we total up both of those sections and then give you the grand total for how much slab is on here. And you'll often hear us talking about, if someone does ask us, like, what's your cost per square foot? If you are talking to a builder, ask them which one of these they're using. Are you just talking livable area, or are you talking total slab square footage when you're giving me a cost per square foot? Because there is, as you can see, in this, there's quite a difference. There's 200 square feet of difference if you add those porches back in to that square footage. When you are looking on our website, the number that we are giving you for square footage when we're talking about our plans is the living area alone.
Yeah, we talk about the living area, and then the other is we'll just talk about it while we're here. Okay, right. If you added the 1374, and I think that says 492. Obviously,
Yes.
if you add those two up, you're not going to come up to 2268. Oh no, what are we doing? Are we robbing them of footage? No,
we have walls.
You got walls, you have bathtubs, you got cabinets, you got things like that aren't going to be covered with any kind of floor covering.
Right.
So no one's stealing anything from you. No one's trying to pull one over it. Like, we're very transparent. We're going to show you exactly what you're getting. But like Don mentioned, the living area, the way we calculate it, of course, is that overall brick to brick or masonry to masonry or hardy to hardy outside dimension. That's how square footage are calculated, and then less any of your unheated or uncooled areas, porches, garages, whatever that may be. In this exact same way that appraisal districts in Texas calculate it. So we try to be as consistent as possible with them. But yeah, we're not going to charge you for flooring that's under your tub or under your cabinets or in your walls, because there's not going to be any.
Because we're not putting any there.
I promise not to. Obviously, we do have some our own little proprietary calculations we do for waste, us and our vendors. So while this is the actual square footage, we'll order more than that because of cuts, corners, waste, all that kind of stuff. But that's nothing we have to bore you with today. Okay. Just know we're professionals. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. And then the other thing you're going to see on these is exterior veneer percentages. So this is going to list the exterior materials that are being used. So if you had a question about if it's stone veneer or brick veneer, this is another place that you can look to figure that out. And we're showing the amount of material used and the percentage of the exterior area. This comes into play when you're building.
Why would we care? Why would we care, Dawn?
It comes into play when you're building in a community that has a certain masonry requirement. And just so everybody knows, by default, we do count windows within the masonry because that is standard practice. But we do have the ability to change that if for some reason your ACC doesn't want to look at it that way, and we can pull the windows out and report them separately. But typically you include the windows in the masonry.
Awesome.
All right. When you get into that A3, you're going to start seeing the electrical symbols as well. So here's kind of a quick cheat sheet as to what all of these things mean. So your smoke detector is going to be the circle with the X through it. So kind of showing you where we're placing those. And typically you're going to see them in every bedroom and then probably in a hallway as well. But that's going to be changed up, and it'll change depending on the county and city you're building in according to their code where they require things to be as well. So that's what you're looking for a smoke detector. Recessed light looks very similar to that smoke detector symbol, just with no X through it. So that's telling you this is where we're going to put a light in the ceiling. That's recessed, no type of special fixture to it beyond that. We're also going to designate out your outlets and whether it's a 110 or a 220. So that's that symbol that you're seeing there that Eric's kind of highlighting. Your 220s are typically going to be, with your washer dryer, that kind of stuff, your heavier appliances. We are also going to show you where the wall switches are. So if you see what looks like a dollar sign in the wall, that's telling you, hey, we're going to put a wall switch there. And then we also show you the dotted line to show you what fixture that switch is going to be controlling. So you can see in this example, we've got, 2 switches because we have a ceiling fan, and that ceiling fan has a light on it. So one of those is going to control the fan, and one of those is going to control the actual light.
And not just one blade; it'll do the whole fan.
Yeah, it'll do the whole fan. We gotta keep the dotted lines clear. Then we're also, if you choose to put in a coax cable, if there's still such a thing, we will show you where you want that to be. And then we'll also show you the Cat 5 cabling, where we're going to put all of those locations so that you know where they are. And if you want to move them, we can do that. We showed you the ceiling fan. We're also going to indicate any other type of ceiling light that would be a fixture versus the recessed. So it would look just like the ceiling fan, but without the blades. Is kind of how you would see that. And then we'll also indicate our vanity lights with that little indicator, and however many little circles you see or how many bulbs there are in that vanity light fixture.
Very cool.
All right, windows.
Pause for a comment or two. And
yeah, we can pause for comments. All righty, let's see. Got a long one from Deborah. And we are done. Awesome. We just closed on Friday on our Magnolia in Blanco County. What a great experience. Building new was something we had never done before. Tilson people truly held our hands through every step of the building process. Every employee we came in contact with was wonderful, but we give special appreciation to Eric McKiernan and the Katie sales office, who put up with me every time I changed my mind about something and gave me some great ideas I wouldn't have thought of. Also to Zach Jimerson, our building superintendent. He paid great attention to the details, always kept us informed, and was warm and friendly to work with. Our Tilson experience definitely met and often exceeded our expectations.
Deborah, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Deborah. That's so kind.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Please send us pictures. I would love to see it. All right. And then we've got Michelle watching from over on YouTube. I'm watching from the DFW area and looking in one of the south suburbs. I literally drove by a home that was being built and saw your sign out and thought I would come to your website to check you out and saw this live. Oh, welcome.
Your pop-up worked on.
Yeah. I love it when something works.
Thank you, Michelle. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're going to learn something, I promise.
Yeah. And let us know if you have questions about anything else that you're interested in. Doesn't have to be floor plan related. You can ask us about anything else that you may be interested in.
Like, why do people not drive fast enough on I-35? You can ask us that question. I
wonder the same thing every time I'm in that area. I'm like, why do they drive so slow? What is going on? Deborah's also sharing. I also want to see how important all these videos and in-person seminars were to us. We learned so much, and they made us feel so comfortable when choosing Tilson. Thank you for what you do. Oh, thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
So kind. Thank you so
Not
much.
only do I run the PowerPoint, you can tell my boss. Look, it makes an impact. Circle stuff. Yeah.
All right. And Michelle is in the thinking process about purchasing land.
That's where it starts.
All right. It's a great place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, folks, keep dropping your questions and comments into the chat. We'll answer every one of them. And especially if you want to keep doting on us, obviously drop those in the chat. We're always about that. But we're going to hop back in here and keep talking about more things. If you've got questions about site preparation, about financing, about customization, about construction, ask those. But also
what you should be looking for in land.
Yeah. Great question.
We are here for y'all. All right. All right, windows. So this there's definitely some code involved in there. So I've color coded what you're going to see everywhere that you see a window on a floor plan. So the first number that's not highlighted is how many there are. So if you don't see that number in front of that dash, it means there's only one. If you see a number different than that, that's how many there are. So this is indicating that we're having two separate windows, but they're right next to each other. And then the first two numbers that you see after that hyphen are giving you the width in feet and inches. So in this case, this is a window that is 3 feet wide, 0 inches wide. And like I said, there's two of them next to each other. So you've got 6 foot total happening in width. The next two numbers that you see that I've highlighted in purple are the height in feet and inches. So this window, since it's 5'0", is 5 feet 0 inches. So if it were 5'6", it's not 56 inches, it's 5 feet 6 inches. So important to know when you're looking at it.
Whoa, there's getting out of hand. Get a little crazy with the
Eric's
mouse.
going rogue.
Fired again.
All right. And then kind of that aqua color is telling you what type of window this is. So that's going to be the next few letters that you see. This one is a SH, which means it's a single hung window. So that means it's going to open. Something else you might see there is FX, which would indicate fixed. We're also going to tell you if it's tempered glass or if it's obscured. We're also going to indicate that in that area. And then the kind of like reddish pink highlighted 2 letters is telling you what that window style is. And this one is going to be a divided light. We're not going to specify exactly what that pattern is on the floor plan itself. So to see that, you would want to look at the actual elevation to see exactly what the pattern of the divided light is. That just saying it's a divided light indicates there's some type of pattern happening in that window. And then beneath all of those numbers, we're going to give you an indication of exactly where this window is positioned in the wall. So we're indicating that with a header height. And that is giving the measurement in the case of our plans and in most plans, this is going to be the measurement from the floor to the top of the window. I have seen some other builders' plans that measure to the bottom of the window. So kind of ask when you're looking at plans, but for us, we actually are giving you the header height because the header is at the top of the window. So we're telling you that this window is the very top of the window is 6 feet 10 inches from the floor to give you an idea of where it's placed.
Whew, that's a lot of information in a little bitty spot.
Yes, but it is. And every spot that there's a window, you're going to see all that information. So it is a lot.
But it matters.
It does matter. All right, you're going to see similar stuff with your doors. So again, we're telling you the width in feet and inches. So this door is a 3.0, which means it's 3 feet 0 inches wide. Again, the next thing similar to the windows is going to be your height. So 6'8" feet. It's a height in feet and inches. So 6 feet 8 inches is how tall that door is. And then we're also going to indicate any additional information. So this is a front door that you're looking at, and it does have side lights. So we are indicating that there are 2 of those side lights, and that those side lights are measuring 1 foot 0 inches wide. So that's how we're always going to be giving you those measurements. It's going to be feet, then inches. And then something else you're going to want to make sure you look at when you are looking at your plans is which way the door is swinging. So we're always going to show the door kind of cracked, and the line showing you, where you would swing it to close. So if you see that door hanging out in a room, it's opening into the room. If it were going outside, it would be swung the other way.
It will spare you the whole left-hand, right-hand swing situation on this particular one. I will say sometimes on the side lights, because it depends on what the manufacturer sets, sometimes they will call out specifically 10-inch, 12-inch, or 14-inch because they can vary by some manufacturers, but we will notify that when you make that selection. So we'll check that out.
Okay, awesome. And then we've got cabinetry details. So we're going to show you very specifically how your cabinets are going to be lined up on the wall. And then we're going to have the same type of little coding system happening to tell you the wall, what the measurements are on your cabinets. So the cabinets that are on a wall are going to give you the width and the height again. And this time it's going to be completely it's in inches now, isn't it?
Yes, we've shifted to inches.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've shifted to inches just to confuse you. So you are dealing with
littler, they're not big.
Cabinets littler. That's fair. Yep. So yeah, here you're switching to inches. So we're 30 inches wide, 24 inches tall. And you can see that we have two of them next to each other. And
if there is a dash like this, I know you've been talking a lot, so spare you a little bit.
Yeah.
If there's a dash with another dimension, that indicates a change in the depth of that cabinet. So upper cabinets are traditionally 12 inches deep. If we're calling out a 3224-14, we're giving the cabinet manufacturer and you guys, the customer, indication of, hey, just so you know, this was going to be deeper than 12 because it's over the microwave. It's got to come out a little bit further. So if you see a funky one like that, sometimes we'll see a -27 down here at the bottom. So they will differ a little bit. Here's a good example down here. So base cabinets are traditionally 24 inches deep in a kitchen, 21 in a bathroom. But right here, so it's assumed, like where this says a base 36 with biparting doors, base 36 with biparting door, BPD, it's just assumed that's a 24-inch deep standard base cabinet. Again, here we're saying, base oven cabinet, 33 wide, 27 deep, as she stated in her salmon note, because it's a separate, different kind of cabinet to accommodate both the cooktop and that oven. But yeah, so and Dawn has around here what BPD means, the biporting doors. She's got indications of your CWC, which is a corner wall cabinet, very hard to show in 2D, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, this cabinet it comes around the corner
and a curve.
It sticks there, yeah. And then STK, so slide out tray kit. So if you ever seen some of the videos that we've done where you open the cabinets and two little things can pull out, you can put your pots and pans and crock pot and that kind of stuff there, where you're not having to dig around behind everything else and pull all the Tupperware out. Nobody wants to check with the Tupperware drawer. Nobody. Okay, this is a good place to store them. And then, these strange little BFs. What does that mean? Well, cabinets come in specific dimensions traditionally, and so every now and then we'll need to use a filler cabinet for various reasons. Sometimes it can be so that it has room to swing, and that's usually where it's used, so that those hinges have room to swing. And then that's with a BF is just a base filler. You can have upper filler as well. And then finally, where the dashed lines come together indicates that's the hinge side of the cabinet. So in this case, this door would open this way and this cabinet door would open, it's corner wall cabinet. So just open one way. Anyway, very, very helpful. Very helpful.
Yes. So lots of detail in those little designs. And I think we do have questions.
We do. Let's go see them. And I'll give me a chance.
About windows, so give you a chance to switch to a.
I can.
And then let's see. We've got Michelle. She's a question about arch windows. Are they a specialty size?
It depends, Michelle. Typically, yes. I'm just going to say yes. You'll see those listed as like a 30 CT, which stands for circle top. And that so what that'll mean is it'll be a 3 foot 0 inch wide window, just like not indicated on the other words, but it's going to be a circle top above the 3 foot window that's below it. So if we had a plan that had a circle top window, I don't know that one of the flashes does. I don't think it's this one. No.
I don't think so.
It's the B from way back. The way back B.
Way back B.
But anyway, so yes, they are special, but they're typically going to match up with the window width-wise that's below them. But great question.
Okay. And then she has the same question with the arched doors. Are they a specialty?
Those are specialty, yeah. And they can't be used just anywhere. But yes, we see them traditionally. We see them used. Well, we see them traditionally used anywhere. But when we do see them used, it's typically a front door. I don't see them throughout a house. I did see him in a design one time where the architect, no offense to architects, this particular architect though, it was a whole barrel ceiling. So the whole ceiling was arched to match the doorway, and the door was arched and it swung in, which means it hit didn't work.
Yeah. No,
luckily, we caught it and were able to overcome that and many other design flaws. Won't happen to you at Tilson, but
all right. That's why we redraw all plans that you bring us.
Exactly correct.
Yeah. All right. And then we've got Joe saying greetings from H-Town. Had a great walkthrough of the Whitney, and then on to the Weatherford for some in-depth discussion closer to building in Poolville every week. Awesome.
Oh, very awesome. Very cool.
And then we got Mary saying, as a realtor and a senior, I've found that indoor doors should be wider to accommodate for wheelchairs and or walkers. We have a wonderful Tilson home with these, and it's so nice. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of universal design we see going in. It can be done almost everywhere, but not 100%. There's some bathrooms that just won't accommodate it. Usually they're secondary bathrooms, though. And if you need that done, we can make some accommodations to that. You basically just take a wall out. Sometimes you'll see like a lavatory sink area separated from the shower and commode. If it's really, really important, like if you plan to have, your mother-in-law or father-in-law or somebody like that living with you, we can just pull that wall out and make it a little bit more universal design.
Yeah. Awesome. And then she loves the sliding trays. Yeah, they're a must have. I had those once I had those in the kitchen. I get very angry when I'm in a kitchen that doesn't have them. And then Michelle is asking to use RTA cabinets.
Not that I'm aware of. No, I'm not familiar with RTA cabinets. If there's an acronym I'm not familiar with, it's possible, Michelle. But we use a company out of Bryan, Texas, that does all of our cabinets. So,
okay,
pretty centralized geographically for us.
All right, and then we've got LaShawn saying, looking forward to meeting with you guys Saturday. We've had a little bump in the process, and we'll be working with Sydney at your spring location on the Brazoria D plan that we fell in love with.
Oh, okay, great. We worked through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we've got Renata saying, hi, Eric and Dawn. I'm originally from Wisconsin, and I noticed that nearly all the homes there have smooth walls as the standard. I'm curious why smooth walls are considered a specialty upgrade with Tilson homes. From my understanding, once drywall is installed, taped, and mudded, the walls are already essentially smooth apart from the seams. Could you help me understand why this is treated as a premium finish rather than a baseline standard?
I can, yes. Because when in Rome, you do as the Romans. There's no better answer, honestly. The sheetrock hangers and finishers in this part of America, so pretty well throughout Texas for sure, but less so, but more through the Southwest, not so much the Deep South. I know on the East Coast and in those southern states, they do untextured walls as well. There's a big difference between an untextured wall and like a slick level 4, level 5 finish. So when the contractors here, when you tell them the wall needs to be slick, in our heads and in their heads, that's a level 5 finish. So what you would see in like a medical facility, what you'd see in a Class A commercial building, that's what we're talking about when we say slick walls, which means they're going to come out probably 4 or 5, sometimes 6 times doing skim coats and sanding to get the wall perfectly flat. We're just not, and they're just not comfortable doing just a tape float and paint. That's just not, it's not something that jives for most of our customers. They don't like that you can see any of the seams at all. That's what the texture is for, is to mask those seams on the walls as well as the ceiling. Typically on the ceiling, you'll see even a heavier texture than what's on the walls. On the walls is typically kind of an orange peel texture. And on the ceiling, we're going to do a knockdown. Some people call it a Monterey drag, but it's even heavier texture. The reason being is because your ceiling will cast even more shadows than your walls will because of where the lights are. So you got recessed lights or you got your fan lights that are throwing shadows. And for whatever reason, people in Texas stare at their ceilings and they get mad if they can see seams. And so we conceal those with the texture. And yeah, we just aren't comfortable leaving. Most of our customers who have asked us to do something like that, with the exception would be if you're going to do wallpaper or something later, we'd probably be fine with doing that. But outside of that, if you tell us that you want flat or slick walls, that's a level 4 or level 5 finish, which is a multiple trip, a lot more mud, but it is I mean, it's
Well, and I can tell you, I am from an area where they do exactly what you're talking about. That they're like, I just mud it and seam it, and we just put the tape up, and every season we are having, in that area, we're having to remud the tape lines. We are having to fix every single nail pop, all of those things, because without some type of finish on top of your sheetrock, yes, your sheetrock is flat, but every imperfection is gonna show. And as your home settles, every single one of those imperfections is just so much more noticeable if there's no type of texture on top of your wall. So you're fixing it every 8 to 12 months, and it's really,
and actually sheetrock is on
or at least you should be.
edges, on the long edges, whether it's 8-foot or 12-foot sheet, those edges actually do taper. They taper because you're going to be building up mud at the joints. So two pieces of sheetrock that come together, they taper where my 2 index fingers are, and then you would come over there with some mud, put tape over it, mud over that, and that's your first coat. And they'll typically come back. Our base is they'll do that. They'll come back and probably do one more skim coat and then texture. But yeah, great question.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's a difference in the region.
She helped my acronym.
All right. Michelle says, okay, got it. And RTA is ready to assemble.
So no, ours are built in a manufacturing facility in Bryan, Texas. Like I said, so they're built to order. They come out, they actually do laser measurements of the house. I mean, then we have, broadly speaking, what we're going to put in the house, which you've signed off on. So every upper cabinet, lower cabinet, bathroom, kitchen, utility cabinet, drop zone, all that is done. And then all the different things that you want. And those are actually built, they're manufactured and finished in a facility in Bryan, Texas, where they can control the paint process, the chemicals that are used in it for consistency. They can bake the finish on. Things that you don't want. The job sites make a terrible paint booth, a really terrible paint booth. So we want all that done in a controlled environment that's not going to, we can quantify and be reliant on the outcome.
Okay, awesome. And then Amy is sharing the problem with just doing tape and float. Then paint here is with those big, beautiful Tilson windows, you're going to see every seam, even under the paint, when the sun hits it. Yep.
That's a good point.
Yep. And in my new construction that was done that way, I can also tell you I don't need a stud finder because I just follow the nail pops.
Awesome. Great questions, guys. Keep the questions coming. These are wonderful, wonderful questions. And yeah, it is true. It's different parts of the country do different things, which we find it fascinating. There's things in Wisconsin they do that we definitely don't do here, like a basement, for example. Yeah. It's not happening here. So
yep.
I wish we did. It'd be awesome.
All right. Awesome.
All right. So do you want to switch over to the file copy? Is that what you want to do?
Yes. So the next type of floor plan that you're going to see in our process after you've sat down with your consultant and you've drawn all over that A3 that I showed you is what we call the A6, which is the file copy. So it is basically the A3 that you saw before, just updated with all of your changes. And then we've added a few extra pieces of information to it to give a little bit more. So the first is this slab plan. Eric, if you want to talk.
Yeah, so we'd be showing you, these are things that are going to be penetrations into the slab. So obviously you have the overall dimensions of the foundation itself, which is important. So you got the dark gray area, that's your main heated and cool living area of the foundation. These kind of lighted out checkmark areas. So those are your porches, and actually in this case, the master shower. So any areas that are going to be dropped or a different elevation, that's this little double rectangle that's right here. See if I can zoom in on that. It's tough to see. But we're indicating that we are going to drop the slab here 3.5 inches. That's what this is telling you. So this is where you'd be stepping out of both in this house, it's the utility room. There's a door here, and in the family room over here, there's a door that steps out onto this beautiful back covered porch. Porches are designed to be lower than the living area of the house, and they slope away from the living area for obvious reasons, because it can get rained on. You don't want rain standing in against the living area of your house. So we'd be dropping anywhere you see 2 rectangles like this together, that indicates a change in slab height. So you can see it's here at the shower area. It's also here at the front porch. There's 3 going on here. That's because as the stone, or in this case, comes around, there's gonna be a little stone underneath the threshold. So, but still a 3.5 inch drop from the living area to the porch. And then there will be a separate detail for the shower itself. But this is very important to the foundation contractor. Any plumbing penetrations, obviously, the plumber's going to need to know exactly where to bring the drain for the sink up. So it's going to be 14 foot and 1/2 inch from the very back exterior wall. So to make sure that it falls in the right spot, and then obviously falls on the same 21 and 1/2 inch. Same thing for your island. Your island's going to need electricity. You want to plug in there, right? So our building superintendent is going to make sure that there's some type of conduit run. There won't be power there yet, but we're going to run conduit that we can later pull power through. And it's, again, 14 foot 4 inches from the left wall and 15 foot 9 inches from the back. If we'll put a stub out there, we'll hit underneath that island somewhere. And the rest are just indicators, same thing. You got a commode drain here, commode drain here. You've got a drain for the tub. So again, this is just important stuff as you're, as the forms are being set, that the foundation contractor, the electrician, the plumber, they're all going to need to have those, that information to make sure that it gets there. Same thing, cold water stub. It's a little bit antiquated. We run those overhead now for the refrigerator, but anyway, so just letting you know how we'll be getting power to places and all that kind of good stuff. A lot more detail here. And this is where it does start to change, where we're given exterior dimensions, very similar to the file copy. So you'll see we don't call out just your 20 foot by 18 foot family room here. These are very exact dimensions, and they're done to where the framer, when he or she is out there, and superintendent, when they're out there double checking everything, you can hang your on a tape measure. It's got a little hook on the end of it, little metal hook. That's to hook it on an exterior wall and drag it. So basically, from this exterior wall to where this exterior wall starts should be 8 feet 0 inches. So you've ever seen them start popping lines on a slab? This is what they're doing that for. And so these dimensions aren't really for the homeowner or the consumer themselves. Obviously, they're accurate, but these are really designed to be used by the trades, by your framers, by your roofers, by your sheetrock contractors. That's what these are designed to do, where they can one person can hang a tape on an exterior wall and drag that tape all the way over to where it's supposed to be, mark it, 18 foot 8 inches. So from, the left side of the outside family room all the way to the interior wall here should be 18 feet 8 inches. Again, don't get too hung up on these or why they're different. That's what part of what this video is. We're just explaining to you that it's going to be different. But it's for a different use. The work copy is for you and your sales consultant to literally kind of work through the plan. It's a working set of plans. It's not designed by any contractor going to be using it. Now, once we start to get to this file copy of the plan, and that will eventually be what we call our K1 or the construction set of plans. Those are specifically designed to be used by the contractors for efficiency, ease of use, and clarity during the construction process. So there's a lot more detail here, which is why we split up now. We do show the flooring schedule. Let me zoom out a little bit. So now we're getting a little more detailed, excuse me, even with the flooring schedule, hey, this is going to be vinyl plank through here. We're literally showing it different. This is carpet. This is tile. So that there's no confusion. We've got ceiling room finish heights called out. So again, there's no confusion. There's too much detail in the bathroom to put on the bathroom plan. So we literally have its own page.
Right.
And this is, again, for the framer. How does he lay out the walls for this shower? The concrete contractor and finisher, how does he lay out the form to drop this shower? Because it's really, really important that it be very exact. So we give it a whole different page so that their eyes don't get caught up on all the other things that are happening. Very detailed cabinet detail or cabinet elevation, some people will call it. I mean, the same thing. So this just takes you wall by wall what the cabinets are going to be like. Again, the dimensions like Don spoke to earlier. We're also even giving framers now if there's an arch in the house, what are those radiuses to be? So this is a 7 foot 1 inch radius. And again, of course, it matches going into the family room. How far should the top of it be from the ceiling when it's done? So again, just giving some really good details to make sure that the plan that we sold you is what you're going to be getting. So here's the first time we've actually taken a look at the front elevation of this home that the customer's chosen. So we do have some stone wainscoting going on with board and bat hardy. We've got a gable bracket. Now we've got like roof pitches going on being called out. This happens to be a multiple pitch roof. So it's 12 on 12 left to right, and then 8 on 12 front to back. Part of that is just you don't need it to be a steep front to back to get that look or the effect. The other thing, if it were 12 on 12 front to back, like this hip and this hip may be taller than the middle of the house, which could look kind of funky. So we go out of our way from a design standpoint to try and make it look scaled. We're calling out different plate heights or how tall the ceilings are going to be in various rooms and various parts of it. So a lot of detail here. Again, not exactly designed for the consumer or the customer, but it's really designed to be used by the contractors to ensure that you're getting exactly what you thought you were going to be getting. So here's the rear elevation of the home. So showing you your windows, your family room, and then of course there's your utility room and kitchen. There's your kitchen here, utility room door coming out here. Here's that porch we talked about. You can barely see kind of where they do drop it, where you come out. And then of course the right side of the house. It starts to get so jumbled up that we actually give the electrical its own entire page. So if you tried to put this on the same as the floor plan, all the dimensions, you couldn't see squat. So we do go out of our way to show people, okay, here's a totally different page that has nothing but electrical dimensions. The dimensions you see on here are going to be specific to electrical fixtures. So this is how far off these walls that the ceiling, the recessed light should be. Here's how far off the back wall the recessed light over the island should be. So again, just kind of going out of our way. There's going to be some GFI outlets underneath the sink. That's for your disposal to plug into, your dishwasher to plug into. That's why it says 2 duplex outlets under sink. So again, just a lot of details. What's GFI? What's 220? Like Don spoke to. So this has an electrical water heater and electric dryer. So those require 220. This customer opted to do floodlights. So we're showing you where those floodlights are going to be. And we're showing you where the switches are going to be. So there's a switch at the back door for these floods. And there's a switch at the front door for the floodlights. And I think there might even be a switch. No, those for the recess cans.
It's the porch. Yeah.
If it's a 4-way switch or a 3-way switch, we'll indicate that. We're probably getting too detailed. This is where we're talking about these folks in particular wanted the outlet and the TV and the Cat 5e to be up off the floor. They didn't want them down low. So we're showing you these are 72 inches above finished floor, AFF. This is the one place I will authorize the use of acronyms because there just ain't room.
The whole word's not going to fit.
But they thought of me. They put a legend over here. It's called the Legend of the Electrical. Just kidding. It's electrical legend. Showing you what means what. So that again, and this is for the customer. This is for the contractor. This is for, anybody who's going to be rolling through here. It should be crystal clear on what's going in. Here's how we expect our outlets to go in a hamper if they need to. So again, we try to go out of our way to make sure that all the details are covered and that there's little to no confusion once the house goes to the field, because trying to chase down details when you have a contractor out of the job site in the middle of nowhere, Texas, is it's not fun for anybody. Yeah, so absolutely we try to minimize that.
All right, awesome. We've got a few more comments that have come through. Amy is saying, can you imagine a basement in the hill country?
I can imagine it.
I can imagine walkout.
I can imagine a walkout.
Yeah.
Just finding contractors that will do it on the regular.
It'd be better than a basement in the Gulf Coast because that would be an indoor swimming pool.
Way better. So. But I'd rather dig the one in the Gulf Coast.
That's fair. Yeah. There'd have to be some blasting in the hill country. And then we've got Kathy McDaniel saying, hey, y'all, we are in our beautiful Tilson home and now sorting through years of stuff. Awesome.
It's so important we keep all of our things with us.
Yes, and Jason's right there next to her sorting stuff, saying, hey, guys, moved in Friday and loving our Angelina. Thank you so much for everything. Our dream is now a reality.
That's so cool.
Awesome. So happy for you guys. That's awesome. And then we've got somebody over on YouTube asking, how much should I expect to spend on upgrades? What would be a good number to remove carpet and have wood floors, have nice countertops, wood front door, etc.?
All right. Well, so the nice countertop is going to be included. We're doing granite standard. So you're going to get that. I mean, there's different levels, obviously. But some plans actually come with a wood front door, some don't. Depends on which plan you're going with. There are different levels of plans, different series. The traditionally what we see spent is around 15% of the 15 to 18% of the total contract amount on upgrades. So if the total contract amount is $500,000, typically about 65, is that right? 75,000 of that would be upgrades. Or that, I hope that makes sense. That's what we see traditionally. Some people spend more than that. Some people spend less than that, but on average, what we've seen is 15 to 18% is in upgrades. So there's no real solid roundabout number. I don't want to get, because there's too many different plans to try and get what it would go to remove carpet and have floors. But any of our design centers can price that out for you on any of our floor plans.
Yep. Then I think this is another one that's going to be how it depends. How much does it cost to have a cathedral ceiling in the family room and the master?
Of course I didn't. Well, they're asking because I didn't open the price book. So I don't have that number. I'll see if I can get the dust blown off of it and have it up before we end, but that's going to be tight.
Yeah. And it's going to vary a little bit by plan to plan. If you have any idea which of our homes you're looking at, we can give you a specific price on those, but it's going to depend on the elevation and the plan. And then Jose is asking, do y'all use foundation piers? Very
rarely, Jose. If the engineer calls for it, we will. We see them doing a lot more frequently these days, is doing either hard points, which is a different, it's a different type of pier, or we see they'll widen the beams, deepen and or widen the beams. Piers, they don't work like people thought that they did when they first started doing them back in the 90s. They don't quite accomplish what the initial engineers who designed them thought the hell is going to be a cure-all. It'll fix anything. It'll make sure the house never goes down. Well, turns out that's not true. The other problem with piers is they are only good if the house sinks, or if a portion of the house sinks. If the house lifts on one side, which happens just as frequently, by the way, pier doesn't do any good at all.
Pier doesn't help you. Yeah.
No. So the technology's come a long way in both the geotechnical engineering, the investigations that we do, as well as the designs themselves. And we're seeing a lot less piers be used and a lot more hard points and deeper or wider beams. Where we do see piers employed is usually for a foundation repair. So it's an older home. It's figured out that it's sinking on this side. It's not heaving on the other side, and people will do piers to fix that. But that's really all they're good for. They're not a cure-all. But they do have an application, and there are instances where they are called for. But it's super, super rare in the mid 2020s.
Okay. And then Mary is asking, can you do a walkout in the hill country? Our lot would have been perfect for one. So our build team is considering them now, but it's going to depend on your lot. So if that's something that you're interested in, that is something that we need to kind of talk about up front on that. But if the lot is conducive to it, that is something that our build team is willing to look at with you and figure out. So that is a change, and that's up today, September 2nd, 2025. They could change their mind at any point, but they are willing to look at it right now. And then the question on the cathedral ceiling is on the Whitney model.
I'll look and see.
All right, Eric's going to look that up. And while you look that up, I will answer Michelle's question. She says, I may have missed this, but can you bring your own floor plan or pick one of yours? So yeah, Michelle, if you have a floor plan that you're interested in looking at, that you've already found, you're welcome to bring it in. And we can work from that. What is going to happen when you come into our design center, just so that you're prepared, our sales consultants are able to price out any changes to our floor plan. So what they're going to do is whatever you bring in, they're going to grab the floor plan of ours that looks most like it and start drawing those changes onto that floor plan. And that's just so that they can give you a quick price on it. So they're not trying to get you off of your floor plan and onto ours. They're just trying to show you kind of the ballpark price of what it would be to do what you wanted to do, because that's how they're trained to do pricing, is starting with one of our plans. But yeah, you can bring in your plan, you can use one of ours, you can change one of ours however you like. But we've got a lot of flexibility. So if you have a few plans that you're interested in, bring in all your inspiration, and we can help you design a plan that's correct for you. Mary says, very good info. Thank you. And says she gets so many compliments on her cathedral ceiling in the San Gabriel.
Cool, Mary. Will you go pull your e-ticket and tell me what it costs? That'd be great. Mine's pulling up slow because I'm watching it. So
yeah, don't stare at it.
It's okay. We'll go look at the K1 real quick, and then we'll be sure we get TCAB 100's question answered.
All right, awesome.
Maybe. I guess I need to share it, don't I?
It would help.
I don't share well.
All right, so the last type of floor plan that we're going to show you is what we call the K1. And that is your final plans. So it's going to look very similar to the A6. We just add a few extra pieces into it.
Yeah, so for sake of time, I was going to kind of show what's different. So again, foundation plan, not a whole lot changes. Still all the same deals. What it will show, there'll be some references here that reference back to the engineered foundation design. So we're literally showing now beam details. We're not showing them here. We're saying, hey, go reference this section detail, 2, 1, whatever on the engineered foundation set, and go. There's gonna be footings here for some hold downs. This is a little bit different animal because this house is a windstorm home. So I didn't mean to point that out, but so you won't see hold downs on every house. Just want to be clear about that. Okay. What else is different? This is going to be very much the same. Again, we got the detail for the master bath so that it comes out correctly. Not a lot of additional stuff here on the K1. There are some windstorm notes over here. Again, that happens to do with where this home is being built. It's not going to be on every single plan. Just want to be sure to point that out. These are counties that border the Gulf of Mexico, with, oddly enough, the exception of Jackson County, but don't worry about that. We still love you, Edna. All right. So also on the K1, we do have some more roofing details. So there's this is kind of a little bit antiquated now because we're no longer using ventilated soffit because we're doing spray foam everywhere. We're not doing batter blown insulation unless the customer requests it, but there are still details on the, so you can see because it's a multiple pitch hip roof, the soffit widths are going to differ. So these there's a whole different set of details that we don't include as part of their just generic details that are going to be just for the contractors. And hey, that's what these numbers are referencing, is there are detail sheets that show in quite literally high detail exactly how to cut the lumber to make these eaves work, to make the lamb's legs and all the different things that have to be done to make these roof pitches work out correctly. That's what these details are pointing to. Let's see. Here's some examples of those. So, this is a exposed rafter tail. This is a lookout, or what you would traditionally see like a soffit underneath there. This is known as a raked cornice. This is just your normal cornice. 12-12 is just saying that this is for the 12-on-12 pitch. Down here would be more for the 8-on-12 pitch. Again, different detail for masonry than there is for regular siding or cornice. This is not stuff that y'all would ever need to know or reference. You just need to know that we go to a lot of trouble to make sure that the French fries taste the same at all of the McDonald's restaurants. It's important that because we ship a finite amount of material for these guys, we want them to be sure that they use it correctly. This is what this material is designed to be used for. So it's just showing you kind of the order of things, what's supposed to be put on when and where and all that kind of good stuff. So again, lots and lots of details. This is how to do the step ceiling. That detail would be here. So again, the goal being nothing is left to chance. You don't have any business going and getting a 12-foot 2x4 and cutting it up into 26-inch pieces. There's some efficiencies that we try to build in where you're not wasting, large, expensive pieces of material. You can do this with scraps, literally. You don't have to, or it can be done with form boards at some time. You'll see that used for bracing in the attic or some of these little fur downs where you're doing your step up ceilings. You don't have to go get brand new material to do that. More details here about your the little gable bracket you saw on the front elevation there, how far away it should be from the eave, all that kind of good stuff. Again, the K1 is the true construction set of documents. You've got, what size ceiling joists are going to be where. This is all your first floor framing detail. Again, it has shear walls. You wouldn't have that on every house, just what's going to be a windstorm certification. But this is really just a color-coded template by pre-cut studs. So we will ship them 8, 9, 10, 11, and even 12-foot pre-cut studs. Don't cut the studs up. This is where they're supposed to be used. It's Legos. It goes together like that. Yes, it's hand built. Yes, it's stick built construction. It's not prefab, but the material is designed to be used a certain way. That's how we keep the prices as competitive as possible, so that we aren't going back to the well every time we need more material because we cut up the wrong piece. Rafter detail, very similar. So it's all your roof framing. So these are all your ceiling, your roof rafters. Sorry, what lengths are what, how it should be cut up. We got some framing notes for them. So again, just a ton of detail that it's not really designed for the consumer, but it is designed. I'm going to say it's designed for the end user, which in this case happens to be the framer, or the cornice folks. So, and I think I may have stalled long enough to find this thing, but
I have an eyeball price if you didn't.
Oh, go ahead.
I went in the mini book because it's pre-optioned, so it's going to vary a little bit, TCAP, depending on where you're building and which exact elevation you're looking at for the Whitney, but you're looking at somewhere between 3,000 and 3,500 for the master bedroom to Cathedral. That ceiling, again, just varies by elevation. Same thing in the family room. It was actually the same swing there as well, depending on the elevation and where you're building. So you're looking at 7,000 to 8,000 total to do a Cathedral ceiling in both of those areas, the master bedroom and the family room, is what I'm seeing.
Cool.
All right. Mary said she couldn't help us out because her price was 6.5 years ago, so it probably wouldn't be helpful. And TCAB says, you guys are awesome. Doing these lives are very helpful and informative. I wish more builders would do this. Props for you, and looking forward to building with you guys.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for bearing with us too.
Thanks so much.
I did find the price, by the way. It was just after Dawn did.
Well, that's because I was looking while you were talking, so I did cheat.
So was I.
And then Michelle asks, is there ever a lull time during the building of a home in Texas?
Oh, yes. Yes, there are. So the first lull is kind of going to be at the beginning. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing to say, but like while you're making those design choices, engineering is happening, permitting is happening, geotechnical investigation is happening, loan applications happening. That's a little bit of a lull. Obviously, there's no construction happening at that point, so that's kind of your first lull. The next one is kind of right when you're released to construction, because we do have slots. We don't want to dump 14 jobs on the superintendent at one time, so we will kind of stagger that so that the crews can be staggered. And then so that there could be a lull there, although that's pretty rare these days. The biggest initial lull there's going to be is kind of after the framing and mechanicals are in. So your HVAC, your plumbing, and electrical are roughed into the frame. But we'll be waiting for some inspections there for sure. So some inspections have to happen. We're lining up the spray foam installation contractor. That's probably the biggest middle lull. We're waiting to get all those inspections done before we can cover it up. So we can't cover it up until all those inspections are done. That lull is shorter, obviously, if you're outside of an incorporated city, because we're having third-party inspections done no matter where we build. But if you're building inside of a city, they'll have their own set of inspections to do. We're kind of at their mercy of when they're available,
when they're going to schedule.
Yep. So there's a little bit of that, and then after that, it's kind of a flurry of activity. I mean, it's definitely serial in nature. You got to have cabinets where you can have countertops. You got to have, countertops where you can have trim, your sinks and your plumbing trims, that kind of stuff. But it goes pretty quick after that. And then there's kind of a part at the end where there might be a little bit lull, waiting on people to come out and do some little touch-up things and things like that. But that's really about it.
And you may see like here or there a couple days where there's no work going on, because our builders do try to schedule it so that we only have one group of contractors out there at once, so they're not working on top of each other. So sometimes there'll be kind of a pause in between different trades coming in. And then there's, of course, the unplanned lulls. If we're having a lot of rain when we want to pour your foundation, we want to make sure that we don't have too much moisture going on getting into that concrete, because that is a chemical process. So there may be some unplanned nature lulls as well.
Yes.
But your builder will stay in communication with you, and if you're ever kind of like, hey, nothing's happening, you can also reach out to them and say what's going on. The majority of the time, they know it's being done on purpose.
Yeah, nature definitely gets a vote.
Yeah, always. All right, that's the last question I see.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're already over. Golly. So
We are a little over.
Great questions, though. I mean,
I'm gonna pop this up though.
Yeah. So we got a lot of stuff happening, obviously. Dawn, take it away. What's happening?
So this weekend is the grand opening of our Brazoria model in spring. Somebody did mention that they were looking forward to meeting Eric and I. That is where we will be this Saturday. So Eric is going to be giving the general Built on Your Lot seminar starting at 11 a.m. And then we'll have lunch with a food truck out there from 12 to 2. So it's a great chance. If you're in that area, register, come see the seminar and come see that gorgeous model. It is absolutely beautiful. Wendy and her team did an amazing job designing that. So really excited for everybody to be able to see it. So you can register on our website or scan this QR code. And then if you can't make it to spring, we also do have a couple of other seminars happening this weekend. Both Waxahachie and San Marcos are doing different topics. If you are closer to them, it's great opportunity to meet other people who are thinking about building on their land.
Awesome. I got one more question. Renata just asked a question.
Renata is asking, when will that model be posted to the website? I assume she's asking about the Brazoria. The pictures are up now. The video, I believe, was filmed last week. So we're working on getting that posted as quickly as possible. And we'll be taking the 3D tour on Friday. So that should be up next week as well for all of that. So you guys can see that. But the photos are up now if you want to look at them.
And if you were asking about the one that we were just doing this whole video on, it will not be posted anymore because
it will. Yeah, we tore it down. I'm sorry.
It's not there anymore. So hopefully
that was a retired plan.
All right. Well, folks, obviously, thank you for jumping in. Thanks for bearing with us, especially you new folks. I think Michelle, who stopped at a job site, just always like that was cool.
I know. Michelle, hang on.
Super neat. All right. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Obviously, the journey doesn't have to end here. We have 12 design centers open 7 days a week. Of course, like I said, we got stuff going on. We'll be in spring this weekend or this Saturday. It should be fun. I'll be at a football game in Fort Worth Friday night. So I'll be.
Okay, so I might be doing this seminar.
Late night, but I will be there. It will happen. And we got the website open 24/7. Okay, that has a ton of content on there. You got new home specialists on standby to answer your questions, get you scheduled. In addition to that, we got a Facebook page, as most of you know, because that's how you're watching us. We have a YouTube channel, as many of you know, because that's how you're watching us. Tons of content on that YouTube channel, especially. So every single one of these that we record gets posted there and lives there forever. If you want to watch them ad free, go to Vimeo. You can go to Vimeo and watch them there ad free. But yeah, and all kinds of other stuff, not just these, but your customer testimonials, your customer home tours, construction stuff. So how we build it, why we do the things we do, all that kind of good stuff is found there. We'd love to hear from you. So do set up a time to stop by, reach out to our new home specialist, stop by one of our offices. We'd love to hear from you guys. And we genuinely soon hope to make you part of the Tilson family. We'll see y'all later.
Bye, everybody.